Good evening and welcome to the December 9th, 2025 meeting of the East Long Meadow Town Council. I'll call the meeting to order and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Got the noisy one.
Uh-oh. And I would ask that we take a brief moment of silence to reflect on all of the events going on, both near and abroad, especially around the holiday season. Thank you. In accordance with Mass General Law, I'll announce that this meeting is being recorded by LCAT, and if there's anyone else in the audience recording, if you could identify yourself. None? Public comments. Is there anyone in the public audience this evening that wishes to make a comment? Seeing no one online or in person, we'll move to council comments. Is there any counselor with a comment this evening?
Ralph's not here. Okay.
Okay, seeing none, we'll move to the town manager's report. Hi, Tom.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Attached, we have project reports for, the month of November for the high school and auditorium. We're so far into construction at this point that we're working on the moving plans already. So fall of 26 will be coming quite soon. Also, just a reminder, you can go on the website. All this information is on there, phasing reports, everything you could ever want to know about our high school project. That's eastlongmeadowma.gov/ELHS building project. Winter's officially here. We had our first snow event of the year last week, and DPW once again showed their affinity for top-notch snow removal. Everybody that comes to the office, you can always tell where the town line is. It's where the roads turn black. So it was messy, a little bit of everything, but we were open for business, and the roads were in the best shape of in the area once again. So thanks to the DPW. On the November 20th, EPA published their grant guidelines and timetable for FY26 Brownfields grants. Rebecca sort of jump-started the process a while back, getting all of our, we kind of had an idea what it was going to look like. So she got a head start on that. The deadline is January 28th. This is obviously very crucial for cleaning up the Carlin combustion building at 70 Maple Street. So this will be a major priority for us in the next few months, including probably some time on one of your agendas in January. There's the public participation aspect of the application. So the town retained Ann McFarland Burke to perform our business improvement district feasibility study. This and services were made possible by a One Stop for Growth grant, and excited to have her on board. The proposed bid would consist of the current property owners and serve as an independent organization that could work alongside the municipality to provide supplemental programs and services for the town center. So this is just an opportunity for our business community to develop its own voice in advocating for changes in town. I don't know if there's enough room in my report to talk about Diane and Jeannie, so I won't, so I don't cry. But I appreciate both of you so much on so many levels, and really thank you for everything that you've brought to our community. You'll be missed.
Thank you
a lot. We'll officially begin working on the FY27 budget soon. We already have, obviously, but the finance department sends out their budget memo. Looks like December 19th will be that date, with submittals for level 1 budgets from the department heads due in mid-January. Capital's in, the capital advisory committee is set, and typically there's a member of the council on that committee. Anna, was that you last year? I would appreciate it. Obviously, I'll leave it up to you, but I would appreciate if somebody could sit in on those meetings again. I think it's extremely helpful for the entire process. So Appreciate that. With the support of Mass Office of Disability grant funding, the ADA self-evaluation reports have been completed and circulated to relevant departments for review. We're making the full set of documents available for public review and comment, and collect feedback until December 23rd. Review submitted comments with the Commission for People with Disabilities at their next meeting. And the final results will help inform the final transition plan, which will be presented to the council in early 2026. So there's a link here that I won't read because it's too long. But essentially, if you go on the East Long Meadow page and you go to the Commission for People with Disabilities webpage, the link is on there. We also want to wish a fond farewell to Officer Tim Daly, who retired last week after 25 years of service at the East Long Meadow Police Department. Tim joined ELPD in 2000 and served the community with the utmost professionalism and a great smile. I'm sure you know Tim. He is a wonderful human being, and we wish him the best in his future endeavor. Some more exciting news, the East Long Meadow Fire Department promoted 4 of their members to the rank of lieutenant last week. So congratulations to Brody Allen, Brian Perot, Chris French, and Matt Adams. Quick congrats and shout out to the East Long Meadow Spartan football team. Got our Thanksgiving going on a good note and beat Long Meadow 28-21 on Thanksgiving Day. Go Spartans. And since this will be our only meeting in December, I'll take a minute to wish everybody a healthy holiday season and a happy new year.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions for Tom? I would just add that the ceremony that the fire department held for their promotions for those 4 new lieutenants was nice, and it was great to be there and be part of it.
Yeah, thank you.
And you did a great job.
Yep.
You really did.
Thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, we will move to communications, correspondence, and announcements. The first one we have this evening is a retirement citation for our Director of Assessing, Diane Bishop. We have both one from the council and from our state legislators. Yeah, if you don't mind coming forward. Sure.
Oh, he has to jump the wall.
Fine. We go. So we, the East Long Meadow Town Council, hereby extend our congratulations to Diane Bishop to commemorate 16 years, 11 months of service to the town of East Long Meadow and to wish her well in her retirement on January 9th, 2026. Diane was hired and served as the Director of Assessing since January 12th, 2009. In witness whereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the town to be affixed this 9th day of December, 2025. Your Town Council President, Connor O'Shea. Congratulations, Diane. Sure.
Ready? You coming this way? Council, get in there.
Ready, 1, 2, 3.
Cool.
Diane, it's nice to see you. Congratulations on your retirement. And unfortunately, Rep Ash and Rep Pupolo, who also represent East Long Meadow, couldn't be here today. Actually, Rep Ash is dressed as an elf right now. He is in another part of his district reading to children. I said he should come here anyways, dressed as an elf. A very festive thing, but seriously, on behalf of the Massachusetts House and Senate, there are a lot of positions within town government that don't often get a lot of recognition and credit. And even though assessing sounds like a very naughty word, and for folks, it's an essential part of making sure government functions at the level and taking in the revenue to support our schools, to police, our fire, and everything that's essential. So on behalf of the Massachusetts Senate, I'm pleased to present to you this citation. The House one will go after. Not as fun. On behalf of the Massachusetts Senate, be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Diane L. Bishop, Visong Meadow, in recognition of your celebration of dedicated and committed work in public service. Your nearly 17 years of working for the town of East Long Meadow as a director of assessing on the occasion of your retirement, and be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate and by me, your state Senate. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Oh, Bruce is here from Rep. Pupolo's office, so I don't have to actually read the House citation. All right. I gotta remember what this is. Be it further known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Diane Bishop in recognition of your nearly 17 years of committed and dedicated service as Director of Assessing for the town of East Long Meadow. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. I don't have that memorized like I given this 9th day of December at the State House, signed by the Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano, by State Representatives Angelo J. Pupolo and Brian M. Ash. Congratulations.
Selfie, that's fine.
Selfie approved.
Take a picture of you taking a selfie.
Congratulations.
Great.
Thank
Stay in here, Bruce. Don't go. We'll turn these around and we can take an official one this way too, so. One that's not a selfie. You stand in the middle.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tips on the wire.
Great, thank you,
Thank
Diane.
you, Diane. Hey, Diane. Congratulations.
No. Then likewise, our second item under communications, correspondence and announcements is a second retirement citation for our town clerk of the council. Do the front part again.
Okay.
Getting the walking experience. So we, the East Long Meadow Town Council, hereby extend our congratulations to Jean R. Quaglietti to commemorate 9 years, 1 month of service to the town of East Long Meadow and to wish her well in her retirement on December 26, 2025. Jeannie was hired as the assistant town clerk on November 21st, 2016, and has served as the town clerk and the clerk of the council since October 1st, 2019. I have signed this citation as your town council president on this 9th day of December. Congratulations. Picture too.
Picture.
Get an information. Sure.
Yeah, tell.
That's better. Hands are frozen apparently.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go far. So all of us that are in elective office know our city and town clerks probably better than anybody else because we need to go to the town clerk in order to file our nomination papers and get them in. And I remember when I was first running for the state senate, I came in and Jeannie said, I'm a Ludlow person too, right, Kathy? There's a few Ludlow people that are around. And, you know, my family as well, my Uncle Russ. I was telling my uncle that you were retiring today. It's like, she can't retire. She can't retire at all. And he was telling me, you know, my family grew up on Katy Street, which is on one side of the pike. He said you were on West Side, West Ave on the other side of the pike. But, you know, it's really a pleasure because I think town clerk is a position in a community that a lot of people don't know well, but it's such an important part of the community because you control a lot of the functions of government that are essential, including, you know, the ability to run fair elections. and making sure that people have access, and legislators like us, we're always throwing more demands on town clerks. You know, we expanded voting, we expanded access to voting
Yes,
during the pandemic, early voting, mail-in voting, and it was a lot of work, and a lot of times during the pandemic, you didn't get extra staff, you didn't get extra
Right,
pay, you
right.
didn't get extra stipends for all the work you did,
Right.
but just I think people need to understand how important their role is.
Mhm.
And when you have a functioning democracy, you need people on the ground that are willing to step up and fill these roles to ensure that democracy is preserved. And on our 250th anniversary of the country, and making sure that, you know, democracy continues to exist and that we elect town councilors, school committee members, state reps, state senators, and others to office. We need people like you stepping up. So just congratulations on
Thank
behalf of
you.
the Senate. Be it known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations. Jeannie Quiglietti, Town of East Long Meadow, in recognition of your celebration of the dedicated and committed work in public service for your 8 years of working for the Town of East Long Meadow as clerk and your 20 years in municipal government on your retirement. And be it further known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its very best wishes for continued success, that this citation be duly signed by the President of the Senate State Senator. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On behalf of Rep. Bubalo, the senator would like to provide.
Be it known that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations, Jeannie Quiglietti, in recognition of your 20 years of committed and dedication to municipal government, including your 8 years as service as town clerk of the town of East Long Meadow. The entire membership extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for good fortune and continued success in all endeavors, especially in retirement, given this 9th day of December 2025 at the State House, signed by Ron Mariano, Angelo Pupolo, and Brian Nash.
Thank you so much.
Come on in. Look to the south here.
Okay.
Congratulations.
All right, we'll do one this way, mobilize one.
There you go.
Bricks.
Thank you. Thank you. On this way. Thanks.
Congratulations.
Very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Beto.
As I'm breaking this on, put this back in. Boy, they're fancy in the house. They got these plastic things. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Nice to see you.
Nice seeing you too.
Just a picture with the council. Did she get?
Sure. Picture with
Yeah.
council.
Got one.
Oh, I missed it.
Oh,
Yeah,
we got it.
We're good. You're good.
I just wanted to say too that we can do metrics for the departments, and I have my little mini metrics I mentioned to you at the town department head meeting. This is my 201st council meeting. And Kathy, you've been my common denominator through.
That's right.
thing.
201, wow.
Yes, and I had to do that twice to count that. And that doesn't include bylaw meetings and licensing meetings and charter review meetings. And 5 council presidents, 18 counselors, 20 elections. And I think I stopped counting the new bylaws and amendments after 40. Those are my metrics. So thank you very much, everyone. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Till the 250. She's like, no thanks.
Oh, I will. Okay.
No, but it goes without saying, but thank you again to both of you for all your hard work that you've done over the years. And I think as Jake also just mentioned it, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes and people don't realize from the public perspective what those 2 different roles do in town, but without them, we wouldn't be a functioning local government. So thank you both.
Thank you.
Very true. And thank you for all your. Thank you for all your support.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you, Daniel.
And
The real.
Hey, that was the only correspondence I had this evening.
thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you, you too.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have no public hearings scheduled for this evening, so next we are under licensing matters. Under orders of the day, our first one is to approve a 1-day liquor license for East Village Tavern. December 31st. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve a 1-day liquor license for East Village Tavern for December 31st, 2025 for extended operating hours from 11 a.m. to 12 a.m. to 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. So extending it from AM to 1 a.m.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Being none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. Okay, next, have. Next, we have approving the 2026 license renewals, which in the agenda was Exhibit A. It's
Okay.
typical thing that we do every year sometime in December. I don't know if you want to introduce anything else to Kathy as the license.
No, Jeannie is so adept at creating this spreadsheet and sending out the renewal applications in October.
October, yep.
My only question would be, most of the, I would guess the greater majority of the licensees are also adept at filling out their applications and returning them in a timely.
What? We do have a handful of liquor licensees that haven't completed their annual building inspection.
You know,
And they were just reminded, there's at least 6 that I'm really surprised at. So the building department has reminded them today, if they don't get their building inspection certificate, they can't get their liquor license. So because of the motion that they have to be compliant with every department, we do have 4 common vic licensees that are not up to date with their taxes. So I sent them a letter out last week to contact the collector's office. So what I usually do every year is once you make the motion that they have to be compliant, I will literally physically hold on to those licenses until they behave. So-
did.
No questions. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the 2026 annual license renewals as shown in Exhibit A, contingent upon each license compliance with all town departments.
It's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next, under financial matters, we have appropriating $59,360 from free cash for impact from the fire department's contract ratification. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to appropriate $59,360 from free cash to the fire department general fund budget to fund the impact of collective bargaining for the East Long Meadow 24-26 firefighters union contract.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded. Just under discussion, this was something that was on the agenda that we tackled a couple meetings ago. I forget the exact date. When we approved the contract itself, but we held the appropriation until after the free cash number and the tax rate had been set, so we didn't have to do that extra financial move around.
Finance department thanks you for that.
Okay. So if there's no other discussion, we will vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next we have appropriating $9,936.42 from LCAT retained earnings to fund the purchase of 2 cameras. I don't know if there's anything, Jamie, since you're here, that you add for us.
Meeting.
You want me to get behind the camera?
Oh, no,
Good?
Basically over the summer, Adobe, which is what we use to edit, they stopped recognizing the file format that 2 of our camcorders film. It's an M2T file instead of an MP4. So I've been converting them, which is then degrading the quality. And so it's just time for an upgrade. Yeah,
Great.
Makes sense.
I do.
Oh, great.
We'll subtract 10 pounds.
I would like.
I move we appropriate $9,936.42 from LCAT retained earnings to fund the purchase of 2 cameras.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Jamie?
Thanks, Jamie.
And next we have appropriating $5,381.50 from retained earnings to LCAT and DPW salaries. This was something from the compensation and classification study that was done that we talked about a couple meetings ago as well. And now that that's been settled in terms of the positions and so forth, this is just to bring those few folks in line. The rest had already previously been done from the, I'm forgetting the name of the
Reserve fund transfer. Yes.
which is something that the town manager can do given the amount that we appropriate each year in the budget. But since these couple positions, part of their salaries are funded either from the LCAT Enterprise Fund or the other enterprise funds for DPW, we have to be the ones to make that transfer happen.
Perfect explanation.
Okay. I'm glad. Is there any questions on that before we seeing none, then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to appropriate from retained earnings a total of $5,381.50 from the following. Sewer retained earnings, $1,901.25. Water retained earnings, $1,901.25. Sewer and water retained earnings, $374. LCAT retained earnings, $1,205. 2, account number 60101235113, LCAT DH salary, $1,205. Line item number 134401510, allocated it,
It's a
DPW, yeah.
W department head salaries, $670. Line item 124501511, allocated DPW department head salaries, $670. Item 134401511, allocated DPW department head salaries, $341.25. Line item 124501511, allocated DPW department head salaries, $341.25. Line item 134401511, allocated to DPW department head salaries, $374. Line item 124501511, allocated to DPW department head salaries, $374. Item 60204905110, allocated to DPW department salaries, $374. Line item 13440151113, allocated to DPW department salaries, $516. Item 12450151113, allocated DPW department salaries, $516.
I'll second that.
The motion's been made and seconded. Thank you for reading all that.
That's it.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, under financial matters, we have accepting cycling dividends program grant for $18,700.
I make a motion to accept the recycling dividends program grant in the amount of $18,700 for Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And next, we have accepting a donation for $1,000 for Leahy Field.
I make a motion to accept a donation in the amount of $1,000 from Andrew Robinson for the Leahy Field Improvements Account per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. The only discussion I would have is just to thank you again to Andrew Robinson for that full donation.
I think we get one annually, which I think is amazing.
We do, and if I recall, they had already donated this year, so this is an additional donation on top, so
Wonderful.
extra thanks to them. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, then next we have accepting the Massachusetts Office on Disability Grants for $83,907.27.
To accept the following Massachusetts Office on Disabilities grants totaling $83,907.27 per Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A. Town Hall door automation, $20,000. Library walkway sidewalk, $24,420. library signage, $4,650, library fountain, $4,500, library flooring, $29,837.27, and library assistive listening devices in kick stools for $500.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Rebecca, if you wouldn't mind, just for the benefit of the public audience watching, if you could provide a quick overview for.
Yeah, so this is actually really exciting because last year we did a self-evaluation and transition plan, and we did a lot of work to engage department heads on, different facilities that we have across town. And through that process, we saw that we had a number of projects that were outstanding from 2015's self-evaluation and transition plan that were going to be included in the forthcoming transition plan. And so we identified a handful of projects that we could get going on really quickly. The town hall annex did not have door automators for universal access. And so that was something that Audra identified and I worked on. And then the other items are library projects. And I did a lot of work to coach Katie through the process, but Katie did a lot of the legwork herself. So we're really building capacity in that sense to have more people go after grants and get them win. So the flooring, what the self-evaluation and transition plans found was that the flooring was too shiny and would create glare for people that have sight difficulties. Slope on one of the main walkways going into the library, the one that's like on the loggia side is how I think of it. The slope was too steep, so that's going to be leveled out. Signage, including Braille signage, is going to be something that's included. Water filling station, because it was previously a water fountain that protruded and would create ease of access difficulties for people in wheelchairs, is going to be converted into a filling station, like a bottle filling station. And then there was some additional money for listening assistive devices and kick stools so that people that are in wheelchairs can get to tables and do work in the library more easily. So that's a nice little package of projects that don't come at the town's expense.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Yes. No, any questions about it?
Good work.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of that.
You're welcome.
Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, vote. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, then next we have approval of our November 13th minutes. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the November 13th, 2025 meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Okay, next under old business, we had previously, I believe it was 2 meetings ago, tabled the Centertown District topic to this specific date for our first December meeting. So I would entertain a motion to move the topic from the table so that we can bring it back up.
Sure. Just as a note, as written, I do not agree with the layer bureaucratic regulation nor the mandates that this bylaw seeks to create. So I'd like to make a motion to not refer this bylaw to the planning board and to remove the Centertown District bylaw from the table.
Is there a
Make a
second?
second for discussion. Yeah. Is there anything else you want? I have some thoughts, but if
That's all. I don't agree with the as written.
anyone's thunder.
Oh,
Okay, normally, when we get a bylaw, for the council to review, we make a decision, whether we feel it's worthwhile to go onto the planning board. That's all. I think that's always been our position. In fact, I remember the drone bylaw and I think there was parking vehicles on the front lawn or something.
Right.
We just felt that they weren't in the best interest of the entire community, and so we didn't pass them on. Plus, I think when you pass a bylaw on to the planning board, it sends a message that we're probably okay with it. Maybe there's some tweaking or language corrections that need to be made. I don't feel that with this bylaw. I've read it twice and, you know, we've been talking about this issue for a while. And there were some things that I thought would be in this bylaw. I mean, we talked about looking at the various zones that are in the area and perhaps looking at adding maybe a use that wasn't there, but it would be more suitable for the town center, or taking it away. I know there was discussion about the industrial zone, and I wasn't sure how that was going to play out. And I was thinking I was going to see all this. Most of it has to do with residential, high density housing. And while the rationale for doing high density housing it's not an issue for me, it's the density itself. I think that I read the Business West article that our wonderful town councilor was interviewed for, I guess, and you did a great job. But in that article, I also heard, you know, the town center, we need to do something about the actual movements of the town center. And I don't want to see any housing going in until we can improve the infrastructure that's around the area. That's my opinion. If you took the residential piece out of this, there's not much left. And when we talked about it years back, we didn't even really talk about the residential piece. We just spoke about having the opportunity for some of our perhaps businesses to add some housing on upper levels. I know when we did the mixed use village district, we talked about the town center as being a possible location for a modified mixed use district. And I just think we need to work on this more. So that's my opinion. That's why, I wanted to hear what you had to say. And I wasn't sure where this was going on the agenda tonight. And since Ralph's not here, and I wanted to at least share, some of the things that I'm concerned about. That's it.
Thank you, Marilyn. Is there other discussion?
As it relates to Marilyn's remark about the concern around making sure we are settled regarding infrastructure in the center town district, what comes to mind is the Rotary study that was done by Mr. Speck's group. My recollection was that when you and Rebecca met with him after you presented to the council, that you were asking him to look at perhaps another option and to come back with that. Am I to presume that that's still on the back burner? And he's still
it's moving forward.
Okay. No, I didn't mean
Okay.
burner in terms of presented to us.
Yes, right.
So he's still working on something. But I would agree with Marilyn that I would like to see the issue of moving around the immediate Rotary or what will become the Center Square District, the environs of it, resolved before I would want to consider what housing opportunities there might be available or how to go about that.
There are other comments.
I guess I'd just add, the process that we had seen played out regarding the steering committee and all the stuff that was brought forward regarding development. It's not reflected. I don't think it's reflected accurately or holistically within the way that bylaw is written. I think there's a lot of community input, a lot of things that people said, and it's to Marilyn's comment. Once you take the housing piece out of it, there's not much there. I'd like to see something that's a little more holistic in terms of what the town would envision as the center district.
If I may, some of the things I thought about, years back we did a town, we attempted to create a town district zone, and then the outside circle, we were going to try to combine business and commercial and maybe make some of the uses more palatable for that location. And I'll be honest with you, the whole project went down in flames we had town meeting at the time and it never got to town meeting, but we had some public hearings and it was just the town was not receptive to that change. I would like to see if we're going to be talking about walkability and our areas that are more accessible to our people. We talked about with the design change, adding more buildings. Maybe we could look at some criteria about setbacks, for instance. Maybe it's more attractive to have the building right close to the curb and have people walking and have all the parking in the back. Right now, the buildings are set up the way they are. But if we were going to have any new construction, perhaps that might be something that would be suitable to enhance what we're trying to do as far as accessibility, walkability, user-friendly kind of a town center. But, I think we need criteria. This particular zoning bylaw talked about, different financial levels of individuals who would use these, perhaps occupy these units. There's no criteria that tells me where the balance is. Are they going to be all market rate units? Are they going to be all low to moderate? Are they going to be, I don't know. And I think that for a project to be successful, there needs to be an element of a standard in place that a project can only have X amount of this or X amount of this. We did that with the mixed use village district when we put an inclusionary component to it. And it was 10% of the housing stock, which would have been, it was 400 units. So it would have been at least 40 units that would have been affordable. That was a start. And unfortunately, we didn't get there. There's value to what we're trying to do. I just don't feel this document addresses that.
So my comments before we vote would be, I don't necessarily agree with the motion that you presented on the floor, Jim, for two reasons. One is not that I necessarily disagree or even agree with everything that's in the language that may have been presented to us thus far, but as you phrased it, you included to not recommend it to the planning board, which I think is too preemptive at this point, because if we voted in favor of that, that would mean that we're now not discussing anything relating to do with the Centertown District for at least 6 months per the council rules. And I don't think that's doing a good service to the residents of the town if we're kind of preventing that discussion from happening at that point. And then secondly, I think this is also just the first step in the process, is starting with the planning board to have them recommend something regardless of whether we even agree with it or not. And this is really the forum for us to all publicly state what our opinions are and what we think should be included or should not be included in that. But we're kind of cutting that discussion off before it even happened, because sure, our expert town people in the departments, planners and otherwise put forward some language. And we're kind of just saying, we don't want to move forward with that, but we're not exactly allowing them to have the opportunity to provide something else to us or even work with us at a public meeting to do that. So to me, will be voting no against the motion that's on the floor, but I would be happy to allow the town to withdraw what they've presented thus far and then allow us to work on something collaboratively after the new year.
I think they can still have that opportunity. I just don't think as presented. I think it's important for what was presented for the council to show the planning board some leadership on it. If the intent was to have that input, I think the input could have been presented to the planning board prior to the submittal to the council for us to refer it back to them. For a 2.5 year process of everything that all the discussion that was bantered about. I think the bylaw was kind of lacking in depth in terms of what we were looking at. So as a jumping off point, I don't think it's even a jumping off point. And I stand by my motion, but that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Could you read could he give the motion again so I can
Sure.
refresh my memory?
I'd like to make a motion to not refer this bylaw to the planning board and to remove the Centertown District zoning bylaw from the table as presented.
Any other discussions?
So I was just gonna say, I think like, I do understand where Jim's coming from, but I think that like, when we're talking about infrastructure or eventually updating the center, whether it's public safety stuff, businesses, I think housing has to be in that conversation because I think it's sort of interchangeable. You already have so much housing that's on the peripheral, and I think there is opportunity to at least, I think the one area of the town where I think we could experiment with doing something where it's like you already have a lot of built up infrastructure there, whereas doing some type of center district in, like other parts of town, it's primarily residential. So you have that sort of center area already. I'm kind of on the fence. I mean, I there's certainly maybe I think some things that could change in it, but I'd love to keep the conversation maybe going in some type of way. Because I think this is really important because I think there is a lot of, I think, unused potential. I feel like I've said this before in our meeting. And I think just like, housing, I mean, we're getting to a point where there's going to be there's a lot of demand, but there's not a ton of supply. I don't necessarily want to open the floodgates and have, kind of unchecked or uncontrolled, but, for people that want to age in place in this community, or that grew up in this community that want to, stay in the community, for those folks trying to maybe figure out a way to move forward with them. But yeah, I think it is important though. It should be a document that incorporates. We've done a lot of, I think, great work of getting the community involved and hearing from them. So I think it should be though a document that sort of tries to best reflect that, with also balancing. We've got expert planners and people that are familiar in this field already too. So, but I do like a lot of the discussion that everybody's been saying so far this evening.
Tom?
Yeah, so not that I don't disagree with your opinion. Originally, we wanted to just remove this, bring it up and remove it, withdraw without prejudice, which means the 6 months or the 2 years or whatever that is not in play. But I feel like procedurally, I just need to understand the subject matter, the details of which are not really the topic right now. The Centertown district as a whole is a good idea or not a good idea, meaning we're going to have 700 conversations at planning board before it comes back. So the bylaw language at this point is sort of immaterial almost. It's do we want to explore a Centertown district of some density and some mixed use? And is it a good enough idea to move forward? Right?
See, I see it a little bit differently, where as presented, if it was like a bare bones kind of bylaw setting some parameters on what we want to see, like I told you from a year ago, I really want to see a good mixed use type of development in the center, make it livelier, more walkable, more diversity, more residents. I think the way this is as written is setting a floor on a conversation. And I think
I'm sorry, what do you mean by what do you mean by that?
Almost 80% of that bylaw just centers around affordability. And there's no depth around the type of development. What are we really looking for? Square footage for commercial, square footage for residential, setbacks, everything that Maryland raised. There's nothing in there, to that effect. I think it could have been crafted if the objective was to create a conversation. We've been having that conversation for 2.5 years. I think there's been enough conversation, I think, to get a pulse from the residents, from the town council of what they also envision. And I just don't see that there. I'm not trying to stifle a conversation, but as written, this particular bylaw, I don't think this stops a conversation. I think this stops this bylaw as presented, but if we want to work on a different bylaw and bring it back to the council, I don't think it necessarily stops a discussion on a center town district.
No, this is the first part of, this is meant to start the discussion. And whether or not you think we should have a discussion about a center town district. And if you think that we should, the idea just gets sent to planning. So simply put, the piece of paper could have just said proposed center town district, mixed use, some density. Is that a good idea? Then you say yes.
Then why doesn't
It
it?
doesn't, what?
Then why doesn't it?
Because we submitted the language that we had written. It's there, the language could be totally different when it comes back to you. And in all likelihood, it will be, right?
I think the language is important too, especially the developers, mandates, the deed writers, income restrictions, eligibility. I mean, it's all very, very specific. And if the objective was to then take this to the planning board and start anew and start fresh and put those ideas in there, great. But I think as presented, I can't vote for that or support it. And that's
Yeah, but you don't have to vote on it for 6 more months. It's going to planning for however many public hearings. Then it comes back to you for a first reading. Then goes to Planning Matters Subcommittee for, who knows, the last bylaw we talked about of this size, of this ilk, they talked about for 2 years. I mean, I don't think the initial submittal language is going to derail a good product a year and a half from now. But again, if that's the feeling of most of the council, I again would like to withdraw without prejudice and we'll submit a different bylaw. If that's the way that most of the council feels, then I whiffed. Then I whiffed. I can eat that. If everybody, this is way off of what everybody thought was going to be submitted, then please let me withdraw without prejudice so we don't miss with any timelines and we'll submit different language.
I feel like we have to meet in the middle here. I feel like maybe with the drawing it, how you presented your motion is going to, just set a different timeline that we don't want to waste, 6 months worth. But we also are kind of like fed up with, and I get that you guys were just submitting something. You can you can put your hand down. We'll come if it's okay. We'll just I don't want you to sit there like this whole time. But great, I lost my train of thought. So I think we need to meet in the middle. I think if Jimmy rescinds his motion, I think when it comes back to us, it has to be a little bit more, not just 80% housing and what Marilyn mentioned and and maybe we have conversations with whomever to help that along. I'm not really sure, but I think we just need to work a little bit more together on this and to get this going because we all want this, right? But it just needs to make more sense for us.
Yeah, I would like to see in January, if it was drawn without prejudice today, that in January we could start the discussion before any language is even drafted. So at a council level, we can even get our ideas out there. Because I think part of the problem is certain individuals may have made their points known, but I don't think collectively as a council, we've really given any direction to the administrative folks on the town side to say, what do we want them to draft? I think we know what Jim wants the language to.
I don't think you do.
No.
Maybe we don't, but I don't think we know what really all of our collective.
And I wanted to add one more thing really quick, if you don't mind. When we recommended to the planning board, I understand it's just a procedural thing. It's really not recommending what's in it, but I don't think it's something we feel comfortable doing when we don't agree with what's in it. So I think when we recommend it, we want to feel good about what's written.
Okay.
Sorry.
Procedurally, you talked about process. We have a responsibility. The bylaws come to us first. They don't go to the planning board. The bylaws come to us, a proposed bylaw, and it's our responsibility to determine if it's worthy to go to the planning board. It's simply procedural law. And I looked at this, and for me to send this to the planning board for them to then pick apart, it sends a message maybe to someone else that, well, she thinks it's probably okay, and I don't.
Right.
I don't. I don't know how we missed the mark, truly. I mean, we made it very clear in terms of, yes, 40R. This basically reflects, in fact, that's what you said in the Business West article, that basically what we're going to end up is with a project that's like a 40R, but we don't get the money. And I took exception to that. I really did.
Okay. I mean, it's all just components of this.
I know that, but I know this thing has been rolling in a certain direction. And I feel like we need to put the brakes on and basically maybe make a list. Okay, this is what we want. This is what we want. We want some housing, but we don't want high density housing. We want to be able to have some criteria to know when the builder comes in to want to build something, hopefully, that he knows what he's supposed to do. And this doesn't tell us really. I mean, it's just all residential. And I thought that we were going to be doing something else. We were discussing this with Mary McNally when she was still here. And so, yeah, as I say, this is the first time I had a chance to really vent, because I've looked at it twice on this subject.
So again, why don't I know you want to say something. It's okay. We just would like to withdraw this language without prejudice, and we'll take the other conversations into account when we resubmit. Is that an unreasonable request?
Not unreasonable. I would rescind. I mean, if you want to vote on, I'd rescind it, no problem. I've been given assurances in the past, and we're still sitting here having the same conversation around the subject. That's what's kind of not sitting with me at this point, quite frankly. I would love to move forward. I'd love to tomorrow have something that we could pass and have terrific new development at the center. That's what I want. I am not an expert in zoning nor planning, and I don't pretend to be. I was pretty straightforward with the residents when I ran for this position. And I know to echo Anna's point, you said this is part of a process, but for people who would read about it and see it, they don't understand that. And for me personally, it's almost a betrayal of how I ran in saying that. And as you know, you and I've had conversations, and as said, it's nothing has moved forward since then. And it's gotten to the point, at least on this subject with me, that I said, if you're asking, I'll give it to you, Tom. Right? That's not a problem. But I mean, I really want to move forward on this. I don't want to be sitting here 6 months from now and having the same conversation.
That's great. And if we could have that conversation, maybe the first meeting in January, where we could get some ideas of, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure I know where you stand on things, but everything that's in this bylaw came from somewhere, right? The density, for instance, is what we've identified through other developers, what they are willing to build. And again, I'm just saying the affordable component has been identified since the master plan was put together. This is an idea that people in town would like to see. So it's all just, again, the same components at different varying levels. So if the levels that we've set right here are not good, or are not where you thought that I was going to put them, then I'll change it. I just need to withdraw it tonight without prejudice so that we can get to somewhere where we can all agree.
I withdraw my motion.
Thank you.
I'm thinking about my second.
Keep venting.
In
Keep
6
venting.
months, I won't be here anymore. So you don't have to listen to me.
I love listening to you, Marilyn.
Okay, the motion on the floor has been withdrawn. Is there a different motion to allow the topic to be withdrawn?
I make a motion to give the item leave to withdraw without prejudice.
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. The item has been.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, next under old business, we have the 250th anniversary celebration, which I think will also tie under new business, the acceptance of the settlement of incorporation celebrations. Related, slightly different. Slightly different in the sense under old business, this was what we had discussed a couple meetings ago. If there were any ideas that we've thought about over the last month or two that we might want to see the town do over the next year or so, especially as the budget is being started. But it's separate or combined in the sense with the new business item that may play into the separate celebration fund account for any of these ideas that we might have to actually make them a reality. I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah, I mean, we've been having smaller conversations. I met with Tom Behan and Dan Burak about the what do you call it thing you bury in the ground? Time capsule. Thank you. And what that could look like when we dig it up and this, that, and the other thing. So we'll start, these conversations will start ramping up about the whole sort of celebration plan, but I don't have anything outside of that to update you at this time. The new business that you spoke of, I think Kim texted me while the last meeting was going on, the MGL to accept so that we could set up this account. But that's all I got.
I think setting up, passing that item on the agenda item, put your glasses on. Item 2 under new business needs to occur. So to me, that's the catalyst to move forward.
Right.
The little odds and ends and how are we going to, what is our input going to be for the celebration?
I agree. And I think the nice thing about that celebration fund account is it, of course, would help us with the 250th, but it does allow the town, if there's other future celebrations, whether it's the town anniversary, something else, right? Use it for those purposes specifically too.
We had one. We had a line item years ago that was celebrations.
It's still in there.
Anyway, I think it's a great idea.
It's that line item is still in there.
For celebrations, is it?
We have
Why?
the account.
It's an account.
There's an account for that we use.
It's not a bylaw, it's an account line item.
That the town contributes to?
Yeah, the celebrations account. We have a few line items for the 4th of July.
Right.
Flags for Memorial Day,
All right, okay.
Veterans Day stuff.
Well, maybe, I was asleep at the switch when it came back. Because I remember when it was, we were in a tough time
Yeah,
and we felt we couldn't do celebrations if we can't have teachers, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. There's been I don't think any increase to that account, and
I do support.
Yeah. These are those things that we want to keep outside of the general budget, right? All these little blip things we don't want to add into the budget because they compound themselves. So we can figure it out with another account or free cash or something.
Well, that's what we were doing. It was a line item in the budget. So that may be why we stopped. But anyway, I support it.
Does anyone have any other ideas?
I know, I'm going home.
All those,
Since the last time we discussed in terms of ideas, celebration wise, or keep talking about that over the next few months?
Yeah.
Okay. Then we will continue from the old business topic. We'll vote on it when we get to
it.
the item under new business. The new business, we have the traffic and pedestrian safety survey. We have Rob here this evening from planning for it. Sure, yeah, if you don't mind.
Hey, Rob.
Hello.
Evening.
Good evening.
So I don't know how you want me to approach. I didn't have any slides prepared or anything, but
Just a
An
quick
interesting,
overview of
nice.
what the buzz for the public.
over the summer I did a survey out of the department's own volition, just to understand residents' perspective on roadway safety and how they felt about moving around town, whether it's in their vehicle, whether it's walking around, or if it's use of a bicycle, and how they felt about certain intersections, including the Rotary, Westwood, Maple, and other intersections throughout town that might be seen as problematic. So the survey was open for about 1 month in July. We got a decent amount of responses, around 356, which is pretty good for a population of East Long Meadows, sorry, a town of East Long Meadow size. That's a good survey size. Residents were very opinionated, which is a good thing to see in these types of surveys. And I see that with both a sense of humor and also with joy, because we get a lot more data that way. And when we get all that data, especially from the written answers, that helps us kind of identify areas where, you know, we could see improvement, areas that we could focus on more, and then things that we didn't think of that the residents brought to our attention. So the survey just kind of asked overall, you know, are there specific intersections from this list that we have here? And we included like 5 intersections, such as the Rotary, I believe it was Maple Street, Westwood Avenue, Westwood, North Main Street, and then Shaker Road, Chestnut Street, which is a really problematic one. Folks expressed whether or not they're satisfied, dissatisfied with those specific intersections. And we also gave them the opportunity to tell us what other intersections they thought were problematic throughout town. Just from that question alone, we made a map that shows at least 12 different intersections throughout East Long Meadow, several of which, I don't know what's up with Porter Road, but there's 2 different intersections back to back. I believe it's Porter Road, Allen Street, and then Parker Street, Porter Road, which people have had a lot of trouble with past there. And then Shaker Road too has had at least 4 different areas along that stretch where people have had issues of some sort. And then, you know, we kind of moved on to asking more about how did residents feel about the town's responsiveness or the process of reporting concerns to the town. Overall, residents were satisfied or showed some sort of satisfaction with the town's responsiveness to doing sidewalks, to fixing issues with the road. But the process of reporting that was seen as more problematic for certain folks in town. So that's just kind of like the split opinion that we've seen, at least in the town side of it, and how we provide services to fix these issues that residents are looking to fix. Walkability was another thing too that residents were showing unsatisfaction with. We do have the rail trail, which is very popular amongst residents in town, but residents feel that certain areas might be hard to walk by or walk around because of lack of sidewalks. Some of the roads might feel dangerous. People might be speeding. Crosswalks may not be the safest type of crosswalk. It may not be placed appropriately. There might not be the appropriate signage, and there might not be enough mitigation to help with traffic calming. So we've seen a lot of good responses here. I put all this into a report, which I believe is in your packets. We also have this report available on the town's website. You know, and it took me long enough to do it. I did the survey over the summer. It's now December. There may or may not have been a giant warehouse project on Chestnut Street, which took up a lot of my time. So that might have delayed things a little bit. Glad that one's over with now, right, Tom? Yeah, he had the same reaction as you. And, you know, I think this document overall provides better guidance for my department and how we should focus moving forward on our Mass DOT grants, whether, you know, we want to do maybe like a roundabout here or like sidewalks here or like, you know, better signaling here, more walkways, stuff like that. And overall, it was a really good effort to kind of help solidify that information. So I can take questions if council has any questions for me, and thank you for your time.
I thought it was a great survey.
I like the visuals. It really captures essence of what the
Nice.
are
It'll look nice.
giving you for feedback.
Appreciate it. And, you know, we're hoping this document can help guide policy too. So, you know, we can decide moving forward, like what items residents are most in need of. And it seems like walkability is a big one, but also fixing a lot of those intersections. You know, how can we fix these intersections? That's a big challenge that we have to face. And it seems like moving forward, that might be a priority for at least my department and DPW on how we can get the funding to fix those intersections that are causing issues. So that's kind of the big takeaway here from this whole effort.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's nice to see the compiled report with everything in one place, because over the last few years, we've heard a lot of different parts of it, but nothing like all the different concerns into one place, and then being able to kind of look at the map that you put together and visualizing what we all know, but is you sometimes forget about.
And the
I'm
maps,
sure I was one of those people too that talked about the Porter and Allen and Porter and Parker.
the map also is spread out throughout most of town. It's not just in one specific area, which I kind of noticed was surprising. It's like, oh, wow, that area is mostly residential. Then you have other areas that are more commercial. And it's not an area that's specific to one type of place, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So I think it's our job as town staff, at least, to start prioritizing these areas for future improvement.
I think on the prioritization topic that you just mentioned, that'll definitely be helpful because I think there's some avenues that we already have, whether it's like the sidewalk fund, and maybe we just need to prioritize like what are next on the list, given the concerns that we've heard about in the survey. But then others we've never really addressed, like the, you know, four-way stops that potentially could be roundabouts or something else. And so those might be areas that, you know, maybe there's grants or maybe it just needs to be on the town's capital plan. But the sooner we get some of those things on the plan, the more likely we'll be able to see it in 10 years rather than it being 25 years away.
Furiously scribbling notes.
I know.
Also, on the positive side, DOT, despite the federal cuts to a lot of programs, DOT has actually increased their project funds. So it used to be $500,000 for 4 years. I believe now it's $1 million. So we have more room to work with to do a lot of these projects. It could be like a roundabout in a less dense area, which would work better than in the middle of a really populated area. Whether it's for more sidewalks, whether it's for more walkability, crosswalks, you name it. I mean, there's more room now, which is good for us. And I think that's to the benefit of not only just us in this room, but to everybody in town. So, yeah.
Any other comments or questions? No. Well, thank you for coming and presenting
Rob.
the report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Rob.
Thanks for having me.
And next under new business, we have the acceptance of the MGL for the Settlement Incorporation Celebration Special Fund.
Make a motion to accept the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 44, Section 531, Settlement of Incorporation Celebrations Special Fund.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next on the agenda, we had received a email from the Fairhaven Select Board that was circulating a combined support letter, basically asking the state legislature to increase local aid, essentially to distribute some of the, you know, interest that was in the rainy day fund to local communities. And I figured I would just add it to the agenda in case there was any interest from a Town of East Longmeadow Council perspective to either sign on to it or draft our own version of it, or do like what we did with the MMA letter a couple meetings ago and just kind of stay out of it. But
How big is the rainy day fund?
Oh, it's gotta be, I
It's-
think.
I mean, if the interest.
Pretty
I
big.
mean, it's been built up over the prior administration pretty substantially, but I was just reading something recently. There's been 18 municipalities just in, I think, the last 6 months or so that have had to do Prop 2.5 overrides.
Mm.
And that's like a lot higher than I think in years past.
Yeah.
Six
For operation.
of them failed.
Yeah.
So one,
a lot of
like, I think that if there was a rainy day, I think there's a lot of communities that are facing that right now. I think it seems like it's a little bit different from like the municipal legislation where, you know, there's maybe things in there that maybe not every community might. Whereas I think this is a little bit more straightforward of like, we do need, I think, an increase in the local aid. So whether we maybe consider, you know, supporting something like this, or maybe writing something a little bit different that's more styled in East Longmeadow's way. But I think we would be immensely benefited if there was some, because that local aid fund has been, I think, kind of not seen much of an increase, at least in the last couple of years post-COVID.
I did, to your question, Marilyn, I did just look it up. As of June 2nd, 2025, the state's rainy day fund is 8.2 billion.
Billion.
8.2 billion.
pretty good.
It'll be a big rainy day.
You got a big umbrellas cost.
Yeah.
we generally, I feel like we're in a lot better place than I think a majority of municipalities in the state, but we're, I think, facing the same issues that some of those other, places. I think everyone is. I think I was reading Cambridge is expected to raise their property tax rate by like 13% and businesses by 22%. And Boston is trying to change the way they just tax things, I think, in general, because I forget the specifics, but like basically like the property owners are going to take on a larger increase than businesses because they had a huge increase in their budget last few. So like, whereas I think, we've done a really good job managing things. We haven't had, I think, shock and awe type issues going on, but it's definitely, we still have our own problem, in the long run. Things.
Yes.
Yeah. I think it's not necessarily a bad thing, and it would be nice, of course, if the state provided additional local aid. I think my only concern with that is it's kind of like an easy way for them to distribute funds by using the interest from the rainy day fund, but that's not going to be something that even if they say yes to it every year that we can count on in perpetuity. So it almost creates a little bit of a cliff locally that great, it could help us next year or the year after if they did it, but then what do you do? So I don't know. It wouldn't hurt to get more funds, but I don't know that it's really the right approach if we were to get anything.
Do these things work?
I think, I feel like a strength in numbers. I mean, if, we all on a particular issue, I mean, if there's 351 cities and towns, I think if, a vast majority of them were to sort of say the same similar thing, I think it would catch their interest, especially if each legislator or a lot of legislators are hearing it. Or the legislators that represent multiple towns in one district. But I agree. I mean, you don't want a situation where like they do this one. It would have to be something kind of more long term that they could change with the local aid.
Any other thoughts?
I'm just thinking like, what did these communities do to get so far in the hole?
That's a good question.
I mean, I know it's a huge conversation, but it's like,
Yeah, and I think the other thing that their letter that they sent us didn't explicitly call it out, but I know a lot of the other general letters that have been circulating asking for support had been more heavily talking about changing Prop 2.5 itself, which personally I don't think is a good idea. I think it's there as a good protection, and it doesn't mean that a community can't go above and beyond it, but the whole point was to ask the voters if they agree with it or not.
Right.
So it might signal the wrong interest from our town if we signed on to these things.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to have the conversation, I suppose, if whether you want to or not. Again, I'd love to answer Anna's question, but I'm not going to do it on camera.
Okay, there's no other discussion. We will move on. Next, we had our town manager goal review under new business. This was just our informal halfway through the year check-in point. It's not the normal yearly formal review that we're all filling out our papers and going through the process, but this was on here just as a check-in point to see if we still think things are going well, if there's any areas of concern, if Tom had any updates he wanted to share on any of the goals, or if there were things that I know he's done over the last 6 months that we didn't even identify as one of our agreed upon goals, but have been completed or worked on. And then I think the follow-up to that was we had discussed compensation wise when we approved his raise back in June or July, I believe, that if we thought things were going well according to plan midway through the year, we would consider some sort of additional compensation. Not that we have to decide on that aspect of that tonight, that could be a January topic, but just to at least get the pulse this evening. So I don't know if you have anything you wanted to first, Tom, in terms of goals and.
No, I mean, Did we get to a point where we sort of consolidated everybody's goals on the evaluation and sort of get those into one place?
I think so, yeah.
Actually, I have all the copies at home.
Oh, good.
No, but we've done it. Didn't look at the date. I don't know how long ago we did it. We did. No, we did.
We did. I just gotta find the paper.
Well, and obviously we're still working on some last year too with the whole pavement plan, which unfortunately Bruce is out right now, but he had given me a first draft also of the building plan. Yes.
Yeah.
And we've been working with architecture EL on that whole space plan as well. So between Bruce and them, that's coming together. I would like to, once we get capital kind of zeroed in, have a serious conversation about a large sort of outlay for a pavement project, either this spring, and we can kind of talk about the timing of this, but because our paving projects from Mass DOT that were supposed to happen this fall did not, which means they're going to happen in the spring or summer. And I don't want to stretch DPW out too thin. Obviously, doing all these projects are needed, but we also need people and paying attention to them so that they're done correctly. And fiber has been really frustrating, waiting for the final numbers from National Grid. We're 2 applications away. We were supposed to get those in August and then the end of August, and I've had to sort of climb the ladder chain of command at National Grid to start.
When do they expect it now?
We should have them by the end at the end of the year, but again, I don't know what that means or if that's actually true. Those are just a couple of things that are just kind of like hanging out, which is, like I said, a little frustrating, but I still think fiber should be our focus. And once we have those numbers, we can sort of plan it out correctly. But not only are we certainly everyone agrees on the state of communications in town or options for communications, and that at the same time we'd be creating another revenue stream. I think that really needs to be 1A. Still think that way. And again, I don't even know what the numbers are going to come back. The make ready work is actually slightly under what I had figured for a number, all of which will be phased out because, well, if it takes almost a year to do applications, I can't imagine how long it's going to take for them to do the actual work in the field. So this is going to be a process in which we'll be paying smaller amounts. Really, we'll see the big price tag, but they can only do certain areas at a certain time, and which time we'll be right behind hanging fiber and hooking up customers. So I think that's really my biggest goal for the winter is to get that plan in front of you, because I think that needs to move sooner rather than later. It's like everything, right? The cost just keeps going up because the calendar keeps flipping. And so we need to start.
I have a question.
Sure.
Just a curious question. Do you have a sense regarding other towns who are trying to get to the same spot with fiber?
Yep.
If they're struggling with the same type of things, either through Eversource or National Grid, do you have any sense that it's not just unique to?
Yeah, and
town.
West Side is doing it. They're rolling out right now, and they had all these problems. Westfield is helping them too.
Yep.
They had all the same problems with the utilities. And again, this is not uncommon. every construction project you see, it's mostly done except for the two poles that are still in that lane that they can't remove the Jersey barriers, and then the poles get moved at some point 18 months later. But this is a common thing. There's a lot. I guess I'll stick up for our utilities and say there are a lot of things on the poles. So when you have to deal with one utility, it's one thing, but now you're dealing with all four. And so their communications with each other take a long time, and then that communication to get back to us. So it is a long process. However, we were told that we'd be done already, and we are not. So, but yes, it's not uncommon.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that it's not uncommon to the point that that was in the Municipal Empowerment Act, was to allow some more local control over the whole double pole issue that some communities have. So we'll see if anything.
Like every 10 years, they get really staunch on the double pole, and
I know.
it goes away.
Of course, that's the one paper that I don't have printed out of the prioritized, list of 3 or 4 that we had settled on. But looking back through the evaluations that I had that we had done back in May, the ones that were on there that were mostly common amongst all of us were Centertown District, communication, the building space plan, financial issue, special communication there, 5-year plan. So I think we'll see where the Centertown stuff goes starting in January again. I think on the communication front, I think that's been better than it was before. I think some of the challenges that we've identified, at least insofar as our communication and department head kind of stuff, I think has been better, and we haven't had some of those same things that we identified previously. I don't know if the council feels similarly from your perspective, but I think from my perspective, it's been an improvement. And I think
I do thank you for doing our individuals. I still have a couple to reschedule, but again, I want to make sure that we're communicating so that we clearly understand each other and where we come from. And again, we're not always going to agree. I get that, and it's okay. But if we're communicating in a nice way, that we can just move on the agenda to the next item when we're done. That's the way it has to go. It's okay. So I appreciate it.
otherwise, I feel like in summary, I think things are going fine. I don't have any particular red flags or anything that stands out, so.
See what the budget looks like.
I know. Anyone have anything else? Then, last but not least, under new business, we have authorizing the town manager to appoint the town clerk and waive the council's remaining veto
No.
period.
No.
Stage.
No.
So to introduce this topic, of course, as we saw at the beginning of this meeting, our town clerk and clerk of the council, Jeannie, is retiring at the end of this month, which means that we needed someone to step into that role to continue the operations and also to continue the council's operations as well. We had posted that position after I think it was our November the first meeting that we had in November. The day after, on that Wednesday, Audra had posted the position, multiple platforms, and I think we received 18 total applications, but of those, there was very limited number that we would say would be qualified or capable of stepping into the role without a lot of hassle. Then on Tuesday, December 2nd, we held an interview with Jackie, and so then I'll turn it over to Tom for his decision.
Yeah, it was an easy decision finding the best candidate. Luckily, in the same office, it's Jackie Sullivan. She's been doing the clerk's job in Long Meadow and East Long Meadow for over 20 years. She's been our assistant clerk for 6. tons of knowledge, obviously knows all our processes and procedures and people. And so we were very happy to offer her the job.
Did she accept?
And she accepted. Oh, was that a cliffhanger? Was that too much?
It's like, I'm out of here too.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah.
So with that said, I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion to authorize the town manager to appoint a town clerk to succeed Jean Pugletti upon her retirement and waive the council's remaining veto period.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. I would just make a motion to amend that motion just to clarify that that person that Tom has appointed would be Jackie Sullivan. Is there a second to my amendment?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Amendment passes. And then on the overall motion, is there any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. So the day that Jeannie retires, we will officially have Jackie as our new clerk.
Jackie.
And then we'll have someone different taking her minutes. So
Yeah, who's gonna do our minutes?
Advertise tomorrow.
I know.
Oh,
But
Wow.
yeah,
it's already in the outbox.
exactly. Well, welcome. I mean, not that Jackie hasn't been capacity, and I look
Welcome to
forward.
the other side of the other side, right?
I look
Yeah,
forward
we
to
didn't take it.
Yeah.
Go on the card table to the table.
And while I'm sad to not work
Cool kids too.
Jeannie for the next meeting, I'll be looking forward to working with you for her next.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Action items for the next meeting. I think we'll bring back up, we can pencil in, we'll talk about center town ideas. So hopefully as a council, we can get some clarity on where everyone thinks before new language attempts to be drafted. We'll probably have an executive session to discuss compensation for the town manager, given the goal review this evening. I don't know if it'll be on the first or the second meeting in January that we have, but I'm sure Tom will have something for us for the capital outlay that he's thinking about in terms of roads and fiber and free cash. Whether or not we make a decision, at least we can talk about the plan.
Earlier on, there was some discussion or question about someone serving on the capital planning committee of
Oh,
the council.
correct. Yep.
Are you gonna do it again?
I wouldn't mind, but unless,
Well, I was gonna volunteer, but if you wanna do it again.
I don't mind doing it again.
I'll leave it open to all of you who wants.
We can talk amongst.
I do, I think,
Right over.
Yeah, Ron.
Rebecca just said.
I think it does help with the process that somebody's represented in that room when we're talking about all the projects, not necessarily voting on which projects make it on the plan, but to see the capital plan.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot going on.
There's a lot.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
I think Anna's gonna do it.
No, I know, but hey, you get points for volunteering. Hey, I mean, come on.
Unless Ralph wants to do it, and then he'll just bully.
I'll do it before Ralph.
And then the last three that I have penciled in, we'll have the quarterly financial report in January. Also in January, I think in our council rules, we have biannually that we would conduct a license fee evaluation.
Okay.
So I think it won't necessarily be at a council meeting, but at some point, starting in January or February, the licensing subcommittee would meet to reevaluate those. And then I'll have to reach out to the school committee members, but at some point in January is usually when we do our joint meeting with the school committee to kick off the budget process. I think that's everything I have, which is already a lot.
And that's the 13th.
That would be the 13th is our next meeting, and then starting in January, we'll be back to our normal two, because we'll be out of the holiday conflicts, and then we'll have one on the 27th as well. Is there anything else I'm missing that anyone wants to see in January? Okay, seeing none. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second.
Motion's been made and second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Adjourned at 7:35. Thank you.